Hello, my little tater tots. No, this is not what I want to do either, but it is what it is, and we're going to have to make the best of it. What I am finding is, and Dr. Meyer just texted me and asked if I could upload these videos into Blackboard, and it's not allowing me to upload any videos into Blackboard. So I'm just putting in the URL, and it will link you to. You have to put it in your browser, and it'll be on my page in YouTube. That's where I'm uploading these videos. That said, these videos are only going to be about, like I said in Blackboard, 20 to 25 minutes because it's taking me hours on end to upload them because I have enough bandwidth. I have great bandwidth when I'm just working, but to upload these videos, these are chunk videos, and it's taking hours to upload a video. So I'm trying to record them during the day and then upload one every night for all my classes. I'm hoping against hope that we can get back into the swing of things after 3 weeks. I don't know. If we do, great. If we don't, well, that's life, and we'll figure out something. But please do read Number the Stars if you haven't, or if you've got all kinds of time. Please do go ahead and read Number the Stars. We will do some things with it, even if we have to do it this way. And it's not ideal. It's not what I want to do, but that's the way it goes. So just hang in there. Wash your hands. Buy your toilet paper and your hand sanitizer, and keep your social distance, I guess, is what we're all doing right now. So where we're going here is comprehension. Comprehension links directly into vocabulary. Your trump cards are always vocabulary and background, and you have to teach vocabulary and you have to activate background for comprehension to occur. There's just no question about it. So, exemplary teachers engage children in explicit strategy instruction through the use of well-planned lessons or mini lessons. I cannot emphasize that explicit strategy instruction enough. I've put up, and you will see if you go into Blackboard, you will see at the top, I've moved stuff around in there, so everything that we're going to use is at the top. These strategies that we're going to talk about, there are several strategies in there that I have put up. There are links to some of those. If they're YouTube videos, they were there before. Right now, Blackboard won't let us upload anything from YouTube into Blackboard. I don't know why, but they won't. We have to teach these strategies explicitly. We can't just hit and miss. We can't just do one strategy one day and then let it go. We have to keep coming back to it. Our students need to learn these strategies so they can use them. When the comprehension falls apart, that's what separates the good readers from the not good readers, is they know what to do when the comprehension falls apart. We have to teach these strategies, especially when it comes to reading in content area text, because the strategies are so different than they are with narrative text. In expository text, in instructional, informational text, we're not looking for main character, setting, plot, problem, solution. We're looking for dates and times and why, what caused this to happen, cause and effect, all those kinds of things. Explicit strategy instruction lessons create a framework that provides the instructional support that these students are going to need. We have to do this. They need to become aware of, they need to be able to use them, and to develop control over their comprehension skills. We have to teach these. Striking a balance between strategy instruction and readers' actual interactions with text is the key to comprehension development. Too much of the time, teachers, especially in the upper grades, in the middle, third, fourth, once you get past the reading to learn phase and you get into the reading for meaning phase, or the learning to read to the reading to learn phase, teachers kind of quit teaching strategies. That's when the strategies are most important. That's when we really need to be teaching these strategies. So, students are in a strategic position to comprehend whenever they use prior knowledge to construct meaning. This is one of the places where I'm going to tell you the introduction to your lessons in your lesson plan. That piece, yes, it's used to get the kids into the lesson, but it is so very important to introduce new vocabulary and to activate background knowledge. You have to activate background knowledge. In addition, teachers need to realize that ELLs may understand more about what they're reading than what they're able to verbalize. You can't just say, well, they're not going to get it, or they don't understand this because they can't tell me what it says. Maybe they can, but they don't know how to tell you what it says. When we're talking about comprehension and strategies, we also have to remember learning styles. What happened yesterday was I sat in on a webinar about how to use Zoom, the Zoom piece, which allows us basically to do this, only everybody is in the same place at the same time looking at the same thing. Dr. Meyer has tried and tried to explain it to me over the phone and via text, and with the webinar, I signed into it, and after the professor said hello, I was lost, because she was so good at using it and trying to get it in a finite amount of time, she was all over the place. I don't learn that way. I just don't learn that way. And maybe you do, but I don't. I need to do it. I need you to show me and then let me do it a few times. We have to teach these strategies and give kids ownership over these strategies. Too often, that's not what happens. We have to develop the reader's awareness of the story structures. Stories are central to children's comprehension development in the younger grades, and their knowledge of stories begins to develop early when they're engaged in read-alouds. I certainly hope that you are not going to be one of those teachers who says, I don't have time for read-alouds. They are so very important. When children hear stories, they develop a sense of story schema. They begin to understand that stories have a beginning, middle, end, problems, solutions, characters, settings. Story schema is important. The problem is this. A social studies book about the rainforest, when it is expository text, does not have story schema. You're looking for information only, and those strategies are different. We don't teach those strategies to our 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th graders and on up. We just assume they can figure it out. And then that's why a lot of them fall away, because they don't get it. They think they're dumb. They can't figure it out, and they quit reading. They quit trying because they can't figure it out. Early instruction in reading comprehension typically includes dialogue about story grammar. Story grammar are those pieces. The story grammar of Little Red Riding Hood, the main characters, the setting, the problem, the solution. What's going on? Can you infer anything? Can you tell the story beginning, middle, and end? Can you put the story in the order that it happens? It helps specify the basic parts of a story and how they tie together to form a well-constructed story. That is all absolutely necessary for our children to learn the basics. But we can't just stop there, and too much of the time, teachers do stop there. An analysis of stories' organizational elements strengthens instructional decision. A story map is a way of identifying major structural elements, both explicit and implicit, underlying in a story to be taught in a class. The explicit are in your face. The implicit are not so obvious. We have to teach that. We have to get those kids to understand. If you've ever been in a situation where you've heard someone say, well, that begs the question, blah, 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 Usually I'm sitting there saying, begs what question? I haven't dug deep enough. We need to get these kids to dig into these stories. We just teach surface level. We have to go deeper. Once these relationships are established, they form the basis for developing a line of questions that will help students grasp the story parts under discussion. Those questions have to dig deep. We have to start them at the top, and then we have to do what is called querying. We dig down. We keep digging to dig down much deeper. Not only is story mapping useful for planning questions, but it also provides you with information about breakpoints during reading. A breakpoint occurs whenever students are asked to stop an in-class reading and discuss story content. That has to be well planned. It has to be well structured. You have to know exactly what you want. What's your purpose? Set your purpose. What are you doing with that? This is the whole point. Everything we're talking about now, everything we talked about with vocabulary is what we want to do with our literature study. And I'm keeping my fingers crossed that we can get back on campus, because this literature study is really a powerful tool that I want you to leave going into student teaching with. Read, tell, and perform stories in class. This is part of Reader's Theater. We did a Reader's Theater last semester, if you remember, with The Doorbell Rang. We did Reba's stories with Goldilocks and the Three Bears, if you remember. We put those pieces up on the board. You can do all those kinds of things. One strategy for building experience with stories or extending students' knowledge of how stories are put together is to have them read, tell, and perform the stories in the class on a regular basis. I remember distinctly as a kid, when we would get to a play, we would have a specific play in our reader, we were all so excited we couldn't wait to get to that. We were counting the stories until we could get to the play because we wanted to act out the story. These types of experiences with stories are as paramount in the middle grades as they are in the beginning grades. Teachers in especially 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, because that's where we're looking here, they think that these kids are too old for this kind of stuff. Those kids love this kind of stuff. Just as little kids like to play with big words, big kids like to act things out. They like to do things like this. Not all of them. You're not going to get all of them to do it, but the vast majority of them will do it. If they can do that, they're going to get a whole lot more out of what you're trying to teach them. You're building their schema. You're adding to their background on which you can pull for something else. We need to work on how do these pieces of the story fit together? How do you work this together? It's almost like when you're in an escape room, you have to put the pieces together to get out of the room. When comprehension, you have to put the pieces together to completely understand. Now, are all your kids going to understand what you're talking about at the same place, at the same time, on the same day? No, it's not going to happen. And some of them are going to have much deeper comprehension of things. We're going to see that with Number the Stars. At some points, we're going to be at very surface level, and at other points, somebody's going to take us and dig us deeper and deeper and deeper. We have to roll with that with these kids. Flowcharts reflect best practice for mapping relationships that exist between events in the story. Flowcharts give children a visual image of how stories are organized. It starts here, it goes here. If it goes here, it's got to go there. Give students copies of a diagram without story information. As information is discussed relating to the story parts depicted on the flowcharts, the kids can write in what's being said on their own copies. We need to make the kids not the teachers, but we need to make them follow what the teachers are doing so that they can take these strategies and use them on their own. We want these kids, as sad as it is, when you get so attached to your students, you need to make them independent of you. You need to make it so when you are not in the classroom, when you are not right there with them, when they have moved on, they can still pull on those strategies and the knowledge that you've given them. That's where we want these kids. Now, that said, I'm going to digress here for just a moment about the events of the last several weeks. We're gonna stop worrying about our comprehension piece right here, and we're gonna start thinking about these children in these classrooms. These children, some of these kids, you know as well as I do, school is their safe place, at least for part of the day. They've lost that. Communities and communities across the country, and here in Steelville, it's no different, have set up places where children can come and get breakfast, they can get lunch, because people know that may be the only meal these kids get all day long. They're even extending it here onto the weekends now. We have had families here in Steelville have volunteered to use their homes as places, and they would give kids, no questions asked, a sack lunch. These are the kinds of things. Teachers are as upset about all this as anybody else. The missive has come down, and I don't know if you are aware of this because it's come from the Illinois State Board to the schools, and being the board chair at our school, I'm privy to all the information that's coming down. These children cannot be held accountable for doing the work that is being given them. They can't be held accountable for that. There can be no grades assigned with that work. Just as I can't force you to do this. It's up here, I'm doing my job, it's up here, but I can't force you to do this. These kids are going to lose a chunk of their educational time. And the teachers are helpless to do anything about it. And what are you going to do? Nothing. Well, the other thing with the ISBE, this can't be graded. It can't be taken into account for anything. The most you can do is evaluate it and see where they are when they come back. Some of your kids are going to have done everything and more. Some will have done nothing. Some of these children do not have access to the internet. Some of these children don't even have a computer in their home, which is hard to imagine. But I had a parent tell me that on Sunday, well, we could have internet access, but we don't have a computer because we have a 7 and a 4-year-old, and I just don't see the point in having a computer, and I just about dropped my teeth. I hope my face didn't betray my thoughts. Teachers are volunteering at locations for tutoring, given the social distance. They're opening their homes. They're telling people if they'll come over, they can go out into their backyard on their picnic table, whatever. They're trying desperately to help these children. The other thing I want to get to you is this. You see up on Facebook all kinds of free resources right now that normally you would have to pay to use. I would encourage you, again, I can't force you to do it. It's up to you. It's your choice. But I would encourage you to look at some of those things now. See if there's anything that you think you could use in the future. Pull it off of there. Get the ideas. Write it down. Download it. And see if those are things that you might want to subscribe to for your own classroom later on. This is unprecedented that these websites are offering free information. They're giving free things out for these children. Take advantage of it. Think about that. All of this information is out there at your fingertips right now. You don't have to pay for any of it. Find those websites. There's thousands of them out there that are up and running. With that said, we're going to stop here. I will eventually get this uploaded. I have 2 other ones to upload yet. And so Just remember, buy your toilet paper, get your hand sanitizer, wash your hands, and keep your social distance, and I will talk to you later.